So next one is 11. So it says, there is an authority who states that if bits of bread were placed in the water and the water went white because of the bits, they will have lost the appearance of the bread. Consequently, one should merely make over them blessing and the single blessing corresponds to the 3 blessings after the meal. Okay. So let's do it from the beginning with commentaries. So it says, there is an authority who states that the bits of bread were placed in the water. Commentary. There is the bits of bread that are not as large as olive. Since if they are as large as olive, there is no need for them to have the appearance of bread, as stated in the previous paragraph. Okay, that's clear. So if it's more than olive, more than this 28 grams, so there is even if they in the water, even if the water became white from this flour in the bread, does not make any difference, still bread. Okay. So let's do from the beginning this sentence. There is authority who state that if the bits of bread were placed, so when it said it's smaller than kizayis, were placed in the water, and the water went white because of the bits, commentary, they placed in the water. This rule also applies when one puts a piece of bread that is not as large as olive, and which one dried over the coals. One second. This rule also applies to when one puts a piece of bread that is not as large as an olive, and which one dried over the coals, called pennets. Okay, in beer. So he put this this piece of bread right over the coals in beer. Okay, if the beer went white because it was soaked in it, one must therefore make the blessing over the pennets. Okay, so basically it was a dry piece of bread. He put this, he sticked it in a beer. So if beer turned white, so it's indication, so it's actually mizoinus. Okay. However, if one only added few fine bits of bread to the beer in order to give the taste to the beer, and not because he wishes to eat bread, he should make the blessing shechakol over the beer only, and no blessing over the bread. So in such a case, the beer is a principal article, and the bread is not. And the bread is not a substantial or important element in it. So very interesting. We actually learned it in our first classes about primary and subordinate. So, I mean, today we have different beer. So it's hard, at least for me, to comprehend why do you need to put piece of bread into the beer to change the taste? How it is going to taste? I never tried it, but it's very interesting. So, but that's the fact, right? So they say if they put smaller pieces into beer, and the beer be turned to white, right, from this bread. So you say barem minimizoinus. Second scenario, as Mishneh Berurah explained, they just put a small few crumbs, like in insignificant amount in the beer, only for the taste, to affect the taste. Okay, that's what it says. So in this case, this bread is subordinate, as we said also in another book. It could be subordinate, so it's only to improve the beer. So you say shechakol, and this shechakol blessing actually covers the bread too. Okay, so one more commentary on the same sentence. So the whole sentence from the beginning. There is an authority who states that if the bits of bread were placed in water, and water went white because of the beads, they will have lost their appearance. Okay. So commentary is saying, okay, they have lost their appearance. They will have lost, etc. He stated this, although it is explained in the end of the previous paragraph that the bits of bread were not boiled or joined together with liquid. One should make the blessing hamotz, right? We say even on the tiny bits over them, even if they do not have appearance of the bread. So we say he grind very well. And even if they were soaked in water, as we have written in a subparagraph 60. So in subparagraph 60, that we read not so long ago, we said because the status of these crumbs never changed towards bread, they didn't add, they didn't combine them together or did some or boil. They just put it in water, so it's still bread. Bread is bread. For the above ruling only applies to the circumstances described there, where the actual form of the bread did not change at all, since the bits of the bread were merely soaked in water for the short while. So we said there is a second condition, time period, short while. And the fact that an appearance of the bread is not evident in the bits, right? So I mean that they don't look like bread, is merely due to their minuteness. It's not like they do not look like bread. They do look like bread, but we cannot see it because they're the tiny pieces. So maybe if we take magnifying glass, we'll see that it's actually they look like bread. In this paragraph, however, the circumstances are different. Since the bits of the breads that were soaked for a long time, that's the issue, right? For a long time in water, until the water went white through it. And this is the indication that the bread's original form has been impaired because of the soaking. And it has therefore forfeit the classification of bread. So now it was a bread before, but after soaking for a long time, it lost this status of bread, which just makes sense. For 63, continue. Consequently, one should merely make over them the blessing, Boreh, the name is honest, and the single blessing corresponds to the three blessings after the meal. Okay, so it was very short C.